Hey guys, I have the new DJI Osmo Mobile 7P phone gimbal here. It's the one with the active track on it, and I did get the DJI Mic Mini that came with this package as well to test out. I'm going to do my usual thing where I focus on active track and on Galaxy S25 phone here. A lot of gimbals have features stripped out if you have an Android phone, so I'm going to see how well it works with the camera array on this particular phone and see if there's anything odd or missing that would be important to know about. All right, guys, this is the box it comes in, pretty small. The device itself, this gimbal is really small. Side by side with the Insta360 Flow 2, it is just a little bit taller, but it doesn't stick out quite as far on the arm. And the arm length is much shorter. All right, and then the mic 2 is tiny. This thing is so small. All right. First thing I noticed playing with this for a little bit already is that these feet are much smaller, much shorter than the Insta360 Flow 2. You can see here, these have a good, at least, I don't know, 3/4 of an inch of extra length. And the only reason I noticed that right off the bat is that when I first put my phone on this thing and just had it sitting like this, the thing kept trying to tip over on me. I'll show that again. I'll show that again in a second here, but this is a look at the active track module. Just magnetically snaps on. To release it, push the button on the back and then it pops right up. This allows you to put it either on your front facing or rear facing, depending on which cameras you're using on your phone. I think I want it. Yep, that direction. Let me pop the S25 Ultra in here. So it says place the phone cameras facing that way. I have figured out after playing around with the Insta360 Flow 2 that the center of this phone is just a slight bit more to the left, which means, move the clip a little bit more to the left than you think just looking at it. Unfortunately, for my last video, if you saw on the Flow 2, I couldn't get stable video on this thing. It is very shaky, and I thought for sure that it was because maybe this clip was a little bit too center, or at least what I thought was center, but not center weight-wise. But I played with it over and over. I can't get smooth video off that thing, so probably going to be returning this. I thought about getting the new active track camera that Insta360 just announced for the Flow 2 Pro, but I feel like they did us a little dirty on that one. They're charging $20 more if you buy it as a bundle, which seems reasonable, but this thing's only 2 weeks old, so why are they just now releasing another version of it? And all the people who already bought the gimbal are going to have to pay $40 to buy that little camera instead, which doesn't really make a lot of sense on a $150 gimbal, especially where we now have something like this that's the same price with a camera included. So I think the OM7P announcement forced them to rush that tracker out. And looking at the features they list, I don't see anything about composition adjustment, which to me is a deal breaker. I had phone gimbals 3 years ago that had active track cameras that do what the Insta360 tracker does, where it just centers you in the frame. And 99% of the time, I want my head to be in the top third, not in the center. So it's not full of sky. And I didn't see anybody showing that or anything in the manual for the tracker suggesting that composition is adjustable. So I think this gimbal is probably going to get just returned at this point. It's just not compatible enough with the Galaxy S25 that I have. Let's continue on testing this guy and see if it does much better. All right, let's get to testing this thing. So once you get your clip on and have it balanced left and right, depending on the weight of your phone, I find, again, that just a little off to the side is more central to where the weight is on this phone. It is magnetic. It will just snap on. This is what I was talking about with the tipping before. The legs need to be just a little bit longer for it to not tip. And I know I'm on a soft surface here, but it does it on a hard surface too. But all you have to do is flip it open there we go. So what I'm going to do, just because these feet have been sketchy, and also I'll show you this too, is when you fold the feet together, I found that it's pretty hard to get it to start closing. It's almost like it's, I don't know, there's just something about it. It's not super easy. Not as easy as the Insta360 or any other gimbals I've tested lately. So I'm just using legs from a different gimbal here just to hold it steady while I do this testing. So the first thing we're going to do is check for the cameras, camera support. Let me cut to with the app open here. This is the DJI Mimu app. I'm just going to click the camera button. It sees the OM7, also sees my Pocket 3 I'm filming on right now. Okay, in the app here, I did make a few adjustments to the settings. I'm used to the zoom wheel working that if I turn it that way, it would zoom in. It looks like it's already reversed on me. Huh. So I've already saved this in the settings twice now, and it seems to revert back. Invert side wheel. Maybe they flipped it back in an update because it did do firmware. No, it's still... I want to turn it that way to zoom in. Invert side wheel direction, zoom direction. That's what I had it on before. And now it didn't. I think the firmware update might have messed something up there, so I had to reset that setting. Although I think I already did it after I did the firmware update. This is the third time I've set that setting to be inverted. Anyway, let's go through the cameras here. So what I noticed right away is there is no 0.6x camera access within the app here. And I could have swore I'll have to show the S24 Ultra compatibility again. But I think on the S24 Ultra, it said it was compatible. But on the S25 Ultra, it's not seeming to want to use that camera at all. Under the resolution and frame rate, we do have 4K. We have 30 frames per second. There is an asterisk on the 60 frames per second, and it lets me choose it. But technically, when I go to the notes here, it says that it means the frame rate is disabled by mobile phone manufacturer. And basically, it says to whine to Samsung on their behalf to get it working. So it's letting me choose it. I don't know if it's actually going to record in that or not. If I go to 1080p, it's the same thing though. 720p only offers 30 frames per second. So let's do 4K 30. I'm going to start recording. And let me start zooming in. Let's zoom in on the bouncy toy. Let me get it centralized here. Okay. It feels like a much smoother zoom compared to other gimbals I've used. So at 3x, boom, there's a flash there, and I verified it is switching to the 3x camera. If I keep going, let's go back at 5x, you can see it shifts again to the 5x camera. And on this one, we have a max zoom of 8x, which sounds very iPhone-centric. Lets you zoom out or in pretty fast if you give it a quick spin. Okay, and similar to the Insta360, you can't flip to the front-facing camera while recording by just pressing that one button here on there. It just says, wait until shooting complete. The alternative that I had mentioned, I think on the previous video, is that you can triple tap the trigger. It will flip the gimbal over, but you can see here, it doesn't flip it over and start active track like I would have expected. I'm pretty sure the other gimbals I've used, and especially the, here we go, here's the Pocket 3 I'm on now. If I flip it to face me, it automatically turns on face tracking without me having to do anything. And I've gone all through the settings on here, and the Closest I can find is this setting here that says face track selfie. When enabled, the camera automatically tracks user if switched to front camera. But unfortunately, it's not front camera that I want because this phone doesn't let me do that, or the gimbal doesn't let me do it with this phone. All I can do is triple tap and have it switch to front facing in that it's turning and facing my direction. Going to get into the active track testing here a little bit. So looking at the menu here, for the multifunctional module, there is a follow speed. I've got it set at, we'll do 11 out of 30. Gesture settings, there's start and stop following, and then there's taking photos to start or stop. I found that doesn't work, but we'll test it again here to be sure. Here's some settings for the wireless mic. Here we go. Noise cancellation, strong, basic. Can I do stereo with only one mic? I'm going to do mono. Safety check, only available in mono. I'm not going to touch that actually. So there's low cut for unwanted frequencies. I'm going to leave that off because I don't have to worry about that here. Automatically adjust volume. Lots of stuff. Under wireless mic, there's firmware and other settings there. So it does look like there's two lights on this module here. It does look like maybe it would sync two microphones. The gimbal has lots of different settings. Follow speed. This is the follow speed when you're using the app, because the multi-module one has its own, multifunctional module has its own follow speed. Let's see, there's calibration there, and I already showed the inverted wheel that I did there. But one of the other things here under active track is keep composition. I'm going to turn that came off, and I originally had turned it back on, but I'm finding that because I can't see my composition, I kind of do want it to center me at first, and then I'll adjust it manually after. Otherwise, if you keep composition, you turn your gimbal around, face you, and start your tracking, it could turn out that your head is chopped off or just not in frame the way you want. So I'm going to turn that off for this testing, keep it off for this testing, and see if I get a better result here. Okay, and really one last thing before I do active track. The multifunctional module comes with this USB-C cable that plugs into the bottom of the phone. It's a nice flexible cable that stays where you put it. And I think that was on purpose because I found that when I originally was having it dangle down here, it was hitting the arms and getting in the way. So I found that folding it up that little bit gets it out of the way so it's not hitting the arms. Like this gimbal already, for my testing, it seems to have a lot less field of motion before it hits the arms than other gimbals. I think a lot of the other ones I've tested have had longer arms, and that makes a big difference in the end for what kind of motions you can make and how smooth it makes them. Even when you triple tap the trigger and it flips around, it kind of does like a tilt up before it turns, which I assume is because it knows, here, let's switch it back. I don't know if it's because it knows the arm might hit, something like that, depending on, various phone sizes. But anyway, let me flip my Pocket 3 around here. So the Mic Mini comes with a magnet. You can use the clip also. Just gonna tag it onto my shirt here, and I'll switch to raw audio once I get some recording going so we can see how that is. Right now I'm just using the Pocket 3 audio. Let's see. Let me flip this around here. Let me just show you first off. One of the signals it showed to start recording was like a peace sign or V sign. And when I do that, I see a yellow light on the multifunction module blink 3 times, which I think is 3 seconds before it's supposed to start either taking a picture or recording, but it never actually starts the recording. And let me flip around here. Actually, it flipped me over to photo mode that time. It does something different every time, it seems. And I've had that problem with other gimbals. When I go to the settings, I do have it set so that the volume button does take picture or record video. I know that's something that you have to have on for it to work. On other gimbals, I didn't see anything specific for this one, but here, I'm gonna peace sign. You see blink, 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 and then red. So let me see, did it start recording? It did not. So for testing anyway, testing purposes here, I'm gonna start recording manually. Sorry, to start active track, I'm just gonna do, hang on, this is wobbling a lot. All right, to start the active track. Okay, to start the active track, I'm gonna do palm up facing the camera. And actually, I could tell from the reflection that it did not center me like that feature is that I told it to do. That's gonna be a little bit difficult using this gimbal then if it can't do that. Let me stop. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna point it at me the way I think I would be centered in frame. I'm gonna start tracking. That time it moved down and it cut my head off. What is it doing? So realistically, I wouldn't, if there wasn't a TV in back of this where I could see reflection, I wouldn't know that I'm not in frame, which is kind of a pain here. And even if I go far back, it looks like my head is just about chopped off. I can do this hand signal, which will let me change the framing so I can crouch down, do it again. We're green, and now when I stand up, now it looks like I'm exactly where I want to be. But the problem is there's no way to really tell without some kind of reflection behind me. And I just noticed there's the Hohem i7 Steady that has a little remote control that pops off the gimbal and will let you see your framing. Something like that would be really handy here. So let me move around a little. I do have it, remember, set to a slower track speed. I guess the goal on that would be that it's not constantly jerking around if I make small motions. It's just kind of a smooth follow. So let me try some of that. I've done 10-second intervals, 20-second intervals, 30-second intervals where I am out of frame. Let me do that. I'm gonna spare you waiting for that. I've just counted to 10. I'm gonna walk back in frame and we can see it catches back onto me pretty quick. Where my Osmo Pocket 3 has lost me. Okay. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna stop recording. I'm gonna switch it to a faster active track speed and just see how it does with that. Again, this is low, slow. It was set on 11 out of 30. So I'm gonna bump it all the way up to 30 and see how it does. Okay, I've got a recording in. I don't have active track on yet. What I did is reset it to be level, and I kind of knew from sheeting that I'm gonna have to crouch down to right around here. So let me start active track here and see if it chops my head off. It looks like my head is still chopped off. So let me stop it. Crouch down to here. Wait. Still chopped off, I don't get it. So let me do this. Crouch down, do it again. Now we're good. Does this feel like it's on 30 now, so. So I just reviewed the footage at the 11 speed, and that was really impressive. I haven't seen any gimbal be so smooth. Usually they're kind of just jerking around. It's either catching you, moving around, little micro adjustments, but this thing is just, I don't know if it's gonna be like this on the 30 speed, but on 11, it was just smooth. You could make little minor adjustments back and forth while you're talking and it wasn't moving at all. It's kind of like a delay and then just an overall smooth motion. The microphone, it's definitely catching a lot of breathing noises. I noticed that from the sample. I don't know if I'll be able to cut that out if I use something like Adobe's podcast tool that I use quite a bit. Or just leave it in there, it's not that big a deal. So let me go out of frame again. This time I'm gonna count to 30 and then I'm gonna come back in and see how quick it is to snap back onto me. Okay, I'm gonna walk back in now. And it got me. I'm gonna try doing a different version. Let me try doing a composition where I'm off to the side. Should keep me off to the edge. Yeah, looks like that's working good. Oh, actually, yeah. It looks like I went to go adjust the composition again, but I think it saw me do a hand up to stop first. So let me reset it. I'm gonna try that one more time with the active track thing. So let me start active track. It kind of looks like it resumed to me being on that other edge. Okay, now I'm back in the center here. And it put me back on that edge. So it looks like it's resuming the active track. So let me get myself back in the middle. That's kind of cool that it does that. I mean, it's a little unexpected. I don't know if that's going to be all good all the time, but it's at least something we figured out here. Okay, I'm just kind of curious more about that resuming thing. So I'm doing one more test here. I'm going to start the active track, and it looks down even more. Chops my head off. I don't know, I was kind of hoping it would resume to where I was in frame. So it looks like every time I do this, I'm gonna have to do a crouch down, reframe it, and then I'm good. That's kind of unusual. I didn't expect it to work that way. I don't know if maybe there's a bug that they'll fix, but all right, let's skip to testing it, see if this thing falls on its face for actual basic gimbal function, which is stability while walking and moving around. So I'm gonna take it for a quick walk outside and see how it does. All of the samples I've grabbed so far though have been worlds better than what I got out of the Flow 2 Pro. So let's cut to that. Okay, we are outside in the cold. This is gonna be rough walking here for a second till I get on my snowmobile trail. It is very professionally groomed here. It is really hard to walk smooth on this. It's hard to tell when it's going to break through. Looks like I'm shaking on. Okay. Stop. Let me re-level it. And ninja walk on snow. Feel like I'm still shaking a lot. Look at all these animal prints. Deer have been using my trails. Check out this thing. Let me zoom in on it. So this is the alarm's set on. I bet that's been pissing off the animals. I gotta turn that off. This is a Real Link. It's a dual lens security camera. Let me zoom back out a little. With a solar panel up there. Battery powered Wi-Fi. The Wi-Fi range somehow of that camera, let me zoom out here. That camera is reaching all the way to the house and able to stream video. Maybe the camera wasn't chiming. That might have been the chime on my phone. Pretty much just have that out back there for animals. But I need to do a review on that thing because it's a pretty cool camera, how wide it is. It gets a full 180-degree field of view. And for the price, the quality of the night vision is amazing. It doesn't have an infrared light on it. And I have the floodlight turned off. So it's only getting basically moonlight and it still seems to capture a really good video. All right, I'm gonna shut this off here. So I think if you have an Android phone or if you're really into active track or solo filming, that this Osmo Mobile 7P is the gimbal to get right now. I think I pretty much tried everything on the market. The only one I'm missing right now is that Hohem M7. And that thing does have that cool benefit of having a removable screen that you could check your composition in, but I don't think it's going to be as smooth as this is. The active track on here is like next level smooth. So anyway, and the ability to have a microphone that integrates directly into it, a really nice small microphone, is just like another one-up that this has over the competition. So I just posted my Insta360 Flow 2 Pro review before. That thing was, I guess I can't recommend that at all. I'm going to return it. It's just not smooth, and I'm not doing anything different. I mean, I have probably 7 or 8 gimbals under my belt that I've tested and used, and I've never seen anything so shaky. So anyway, let me know what you think in the comments. Sorry this is so long, but there's kind of a lot to show on this one, and it really kind of stood out as being a really nice gimbal. So let me know in the comments what you think, and thank you for watching.